Hi, class. Today's lesson is going to be one of the shorter ones because we are going to start this unit off with an assignment. And this is a research assignment where you are going to research the organ systems of the human body. So this particular unit is on animal anatomy, so the different parts of your body. And I find that sometimes um, students don't have what I consider to be critical information about the different organ systems of the body. So we're going to start off um, by making sure that you know the functions, the organs and tissues, and some diseases and a doctor that you would go to if you had problems with your, for example, circulatory system. So we have this chart here. Something's function is what it does, right? What does your circulatory system do? What is its job? Okay. Organs and tissues are parts of the the circulatory system. Okay. So y- for some systems, there are many parts and many organs and tissues. You only really have to give me, two or three. You don't have to give me 18 organs and tissues. Two or three is fine for me. If you would like to write down more because it's interesting information to you, you can do that. But I'm only looking for two or three. And then diseases and doctors. Diseases and doctor, two things that I need. Okay. So, what are some diseases you can get in your circulatory system? And what doctor would you go to for your circulatory system? Okay, so two pieces of information for this third box. Same thing for the digestive system, the endocrine system, the excretory system, the integumentary system, the lymphatic system, the muscular system, the nervous system, the reproductive system. And for the reproductive system, I want you to think male and female. Okay, because maybe you know what doctor you go to for your reproductive system, but you might not know what doctor your spouse goes to for their reproductive system. It's going to be a different doctor. um, your respiratory system and your skeletal system. So you're going to research these systems and you're going to give me those four basic pieces of information about each one. There is, if you like the Amoeba Sisters, if you like the videos I've been posting from them, there is an Amoeba Sisters video about human body systems that will cover a lot of this assignment. So if you want to start by watching the video, I'll post that video and you can do that. So that's your first assignment for me in this unit. Today's lesson is going to be about the organization of the human body, right? How is the body organized? So, your body is made up of trillions of cells, and they don't function alone. They function together, they work together. So, instead, we have cells that are similar in structure and function, they work together as tissue. So your skin would be an example of a tissue. Your skin is mostly made up of surface lining or skin cells, and they work together to keep the wrong things out of your body, right? Like dirt or um, pathogens, right? Diseases. Now, so then two or more tissues that function together is called an organ. Okay, you might know some of the organs in your body. For example, your heart is an organ. right? Your lungs are organs. Two or more organs that function together make up an organ system, right? And hopefully you've done your assignment by now, so you should know about all of the organ systems, right? We have quite a few. So when organs work together, we have organ systems. Altogether, the different organ systems make up a whole organism. So we have some examples in this picture down here, different types of cells. So you have four major different types of cells in your body. You have muscle cells, their job is to move. You have nerve cells, their job is to send messages very quickly from your brain to all of your body parts and back. You have surface lining cells, those are cells on the outside of your body, but also on the inside of your body. So if you think about your mouth, right? There are there is a lining, a smooth lining on the inside of your mouth. It's a little bit different than the lining on the outside of your cheek, right? But it's still a lining. So both of those are example of surface lining cells. And then we have connective cells. Connective cells are the cells that keep your body together. So bone cells would be an example of a connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, cartilage. Um, you have sort of little um, saran wrap type tissues in your body that are clear and hold your organs in place. If you've ever had a hernia, you've broken that sort of tissue. Those are all connective tissues. Okay. So muscle cells make muscle tissue, nerve cells make nervous tissue, surface lining cells make epithelial tissue. So you'll probably, if you take a lot more science, know surface lining cells as epithelial cells. So this would be epithelial tissue, right? And that's just tissue that lines your body. And then you have connective cells and connective tissue. Um, so different types of tissue come together to make an organ. Okay, so this is your bladder. Your bladder is mostly a muscular pouch, right? You need you have muscle cells in there, or muscle tissue, to squeeze out the urine when you pee. You have nervous tissue to tell your bladder when it's time to do that. You have surface lining tissue to line the inside and the outside of your bladder. And you have connective tissue connecting it to the rest of your body, right? It's hanging in there in the lower middle of your abdomen and it's hanging by connective tissue. So all four of these tissues come together to make an organ. And then this organ, your bladder, is part of your urinary system, or we don't call it urinary system in um, our project. We call it the excretory system. So this would be the excretory system, right? So your bladder works together with your ureter. Your ureter is a tube that runs from your kidneys to your bladder. So what happens is your kidneys are basically giant filters. They filter your blood. They filter out things like the remnants of dead cells and um, excess salt and water. Right? They filter that out of your blood, and then that is a waste product that becomes urine. And then so that travels down the ureter and it waits in the bladder until there's enough urine in there, and then you decide to pee, to go to the washroom, right? And then that is just one of many systems that make up you, right? We we know how many systems make up you because we just did an assignment on it. So that is the concept of an organ system, and we will be studying in depth three different organ systems in the body. We will be studying your circulatory system, your um, respiratory system, and your digestive system. Now, the second important concept that we need to study in this unit is called homeostasis. Homeostasis, okay? So, your body goes through a lot of changes during your day, right? You might have some changes in temperature. You might have to run to catch a bus. You might have to, or you might go to the gym. You might have to sit down and eat meals, right? You might have to work. Um, but during your whole day, your body has to maintain some things within itself. So even though it's a hot day in summer or a cold day in winter, we have to keep our body's temperature at 37 degrees Celsius. You know, the reason for that is because if we don't keep our body's temperature at 37 degrees Celsius, all of our enzymes will stop working and we will die, right? So it's very important that your body stays pretty close to 37 degrees Celsius, right? So 5 degrees one way or 5 degrees another way could be kind of disastrous. We also have to maintain the pH of our blood. It has to stay slightly basic at around a pH of 77.4. Okay. And that's also so our enzymes stay the right shape so they can do their job. We also have to keep the amount of glucose in our blood at around 100 milligrams per milliliter. If it is higher than that, um, you can have problems. If it's lower than that, your body won't have enough energy, and you might do something like faint. Okay, so it's very important that your blood has the right amount of glucose. The ability of the body to maintain a stable, constant, balanced internal condition is called homeostasis, right? So, homeostasis is our ability to keep our body within functioning parameters. If a body or organ system cannot maintain homeostasis, it may stop functioning and the organism may die. So, quickly, let's talk about some ways that your body maintains homeostasis and what organ systems and organs are involved. So, we're going to take a look at this picture here. This picture, so we have, oops, a human being who is jogging. And there we go. Okay, let's go back to the human being who is jogging. There we go. Okay. All right. What's happening as this woman is jogging? The first thing you might notice if you've been jogging for a while is a person starts to sweat. So sweating is a method to maintain your body temperature. So when you put water on your skin's surface, that water will evaporate and it will need heat to do so. So it will absorb the heat from your body in order to evaporate, and that will help you regulate your body temperature. Let's go clockwise. So next, um, you have your brain. Your brain, even though you're not consciously thinking about it, your brain is helping you regulate your temperature and your blood volume. So your brain has monitoring systems in a part called the hypothalamus, and that will send out signals to the rest of your body for what to do. So the hypothalamus sent a signal to the skin that the body was too hot and that it should start sweating. It will also send a message to the kidneys if the water balance gets too low. And then the kidneys will make um, less watery urine in order to keep you hydrated. It will uh, it will send messages to your pancreas. Your pancreas has hormones. It makes hormones such as insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon are two hormones that maintain the correct level of blood sugar. Okay, so that is working to keep enough sugar in this woman's blood so that she can continue jogging, right? So her muscle cells are rapidly using the sugar to turn into energy to keep her moving. And the pancreas will release hormones that will go to the liver and tell the liver to break down some glycogen. You remember glycogen? Glycogen from unit one. That's how we store our glucose energy. And it will tell the liver that it needs to break down some glycogen and send some more glycogen to muscle cells. Of course, her muscle cells are contracting as she jogs, and they release heat and they use up glucose. And then we have the blood that distributes heat to the surface of her body so that it can help the sweat evaporate, right? And so she can keep the inside of her body, particularly her organs, um, cool enough to do their jobs. And then her kidneys are, helping maintain her hydration. Okay, so that's just 6 ways, and believe me, there are many more that this woman's body is going through right now as she jogs. Okay, maintaining her body temperature. What maintained her body temperature? Her skin, her hypothalamus, and her blood. Right, all work together to maintain her body temperature. What helped her maintain a level of water? Her hypothalamus and her kidney. What helped her maintain her blood sugar? Her hypothalamus, her pancreas, and her muscles, right? So all of that is trying to keep her body in a stable conditioning state, and that's called homeostasis. Um, Now, I want to talk about how homeostasis works, and we're going to discuss something called a negative feedback loop. So, your body maintains its temperature a lot like the way your house maintains its temperature. Um, so, we are going to look at how negative feedback works. Negative feedback is a system that will prevent your body from going too far from its ideal temperature or its ideal pH. It's a system where if something changes, it the system works to bring it back to where it was. Okay. You also have negative feedback systems in your house, and we're going to talk about that right now. So your house stays at around, 23, 25 maybe degrees. And it does that with a heater and a thermostat. And the system will not only keep your house from becoming too warm, but becoming too cold. So we're going to talk about how that works. So what happens if your room is too warm? Maybe you've set your thermostat at 23 degrees Celsius, and now maybe you've been cooking in the house for a little while in the kitchen, and the temperature is now 27 degrees and you're sweating. What's going to happen in your house? So the room is too warm. This is what we call a stimulus. A stimulus is something on the outside of your body in your environment that causes your body to react, right? In this case, your house is going to react, not your body. But this is still called a stimulus. Okay. Then you have something that will sense this change. In this case, it is your thermostat that will sense that your house is no longer the correct temperature. You actually have some very thin strips of metal in your thermostat, and they bend when it's too warm. Okay, so they will bend away from from the wire that it's attached to, and so it goes from being a closed circuit to an open circuit, right? Um, so a closed circuit is when all the wires are touching and linking back all the way to an energy source, right? If one of the wires is not touching, um, it will open the system, and then no electricity can flow through. And that's what's going to happen here. So if it's too hot, the sensor, your thermostat, will sense the change in temperature, and it will do that by a piece of metal bending, which will stop the flow of electricity, and it will turn the heater off. So your heater is what's called your effector. It can change, and so it can cause change. It's your house's response to the stimulus. So after your heater turns off, obviously, your room will decrease in temperature. It will cool, and then it will go back to comfortable room temperature. So when it gets back there, right, that's an example of a negative feedback loop. Okay, we moved away from the proper temperature, but the system worked to bring us back. What happens if your room gets too cold? Okay, it was a comfortable temperature for a while, but now instead of 23 degrees, it's 20 degrees, and you're starting to get cold. Well, your thermostat, the metal in your thermostat will bend in the other direction, or bend less, and it will touch the metal wire, which will close the switch, which will cause electricity to flow through to the heater, which will turn on. And then the heater will heat the room up, and your room will go back to a comfortable temperature. That's another negative feedback loop. So when things got too far from the correct temperature, something would sense it, and then there would be an action to bring it back to where it was supposed to be. Okay. Your body uses something very similar when your body gets too warm or too cold. Do we have a picture of that? Yes. So, um, it says in all negative feedback systems, a sensor, such as your thermostat, detects a change that upsets the balance state and then signals a control center. The control center activates something, such as a heater, that reverses the change and restores balance. Okay, So you have a sensor. The sensor tells the control center. The control center activates something that's called an effector, and it will reverse the change. Negative feedback is the body's way to maintain homeostasis. The control center is often the brain, and the sensors are often specialized cells. So, um, okay, let's talk about this. So, if your body, if your body gets too cold, right? This is the stimulus. If your body is too cold, you will sense it. You have some nerves throughout your body, and their job is to sense how hot or how cold your body is. Right. One of the really important nerves that is there to sense what temperature your body is in the roof of your mouth. Right. And that nerve goes straight to your brain. And if you eat something really, really cold, like ice cream, um, it will cause your brain to think that your whole body is going to freeze up any second. And it's going to do some drastic things, like constricting your blood vessels in order to maintain the heat in your body. And that's how you get ice cream headache. Right? But you have nerves all over your body that sense heat or cold. One fun thing to do, if you have something very thin, like a pin, you can freeze some pins in the freezer, um, and you can put some pins in boiling water to heat them up, and you can trace them over your skin. And you might find that there are dead areas in your skin that don't sense heat or don't sense cold. So the sensation will go away in certain areas. It's kind of neat, right? Usually, when we have heat and cold against our body, it's over a large area, so you don't notice. But that's something that you can try at home. If there is a video on how to do it, um, I'll post it. Okay. So, what are some things that happen when you're cold? Uh, so one thing that happens when you're cold is shivering, right? So your brain, so the let's see, the temperature nerves, they go to your brain, and then your brain sends a message to your muscles, right? So your temperature nerves are your. Do I have room over here? Not really. Make my own room. Um, so your sensor are your temperature sensing nerves, and your control center here is your brain, and your effector is your muscles. So your temperature nerves send a signal to your brain, which is the control center, which makes a decision like, yeah, this is too cold. Okay, let me do something about it. And that relays a message to your muscles. They are the effector. They're going to move back and forth rapidly, right? It's going to cause you to shiver, but the process of muscles moving back and forth creates heat, just like in our runner up here, right? So part of moving and using a lot of energy is actually um, making heat. So your muscles are just moving around to create heat and warm you up, right? Then your body temperature increases, and then you're back to normal. But say now you've been shivering for too long and the temperature is no longer cold and your body gets hot. Well, then your temperature sensing nerves will sense that you're too hot. It will send a message to the control center, which is your brain, and it is going to now send a message not to your muscles. Well, it'll send a message to your muscles to stop shivering, um, but it will also send a message to your sweat glands, right, which are effectors, and your sweat glands will release water, and the water will use the extra heat from your body to evaporate, and then your body temperature decreases and it goes back to normal. So just like your home has a negative feedback loop if it's too hot and a negative feedback loop if it's too cold, your body does as well. It's just that the sensor, the control center, and the effector is different because it's inside your body and not a part of your house. I will. There's a video to post on negative feedback systems. I know it says the homework is part of the textbook. I need to delete that because we don't have a textbook in this course. I will post some homework for you on negative feedback if you want to do it. But you still have this big assignment here to do. So I probably uh, won't post very much homework. Okay, so that is the end of today's lesson, and tomorrow we are going to start on the circulatory system.